Slavery is a choice. Now, some people tell you that freedom is a choice. Well, if freedom is a choice, how can slavery not be one? There are people in America right now who want you to believe that you have no choice when it comes to slavery. They want you to look at your past, they want you to believe that your ancestors had no choice, therefore you have no choice. And if slavery was not a choice, how did 200,000 black people decide to take their freedom from their slave masters? By running away or by killing them. Patrick Henry said, "Give me liberty or give me death." They understood the concepts of liberty. They understood the concepts of freedom. And they understood that sometimes, as Thomas Jefferson said, the tree of liberty must be irrigated with the blood of tyrants and patriots. It is his natural renewal. In order to be free, you must be willing to shed blood. If a robber is going to come into a home, he first must bind the strong man. But if he doesn't bind the strong man will wait and will not allow his house to be shaken up. We must understand this, that freedom is not something that someone gives you. It's something that you accept. And you tell the man who decides to try to take your freedom that this is a death fight. They want you to believe that someone has the power to make you submit to slavery. And submitting to slavery is a sin. One or two things are going to happen here. One thing is you're not going to leave with a slave. One of us is going to die. Slavery is a choice.
With April Chapman, as we discuss all things social, cultural, political, and theological from a biblical perspective. Happy Friday, you guys. I'm so excited to be here. Hello to all of you who are watching us on YouTube or Rumble. I tried to get Facebook to work, but as y'all know, every week it's something different with the Book of Faces. But anyway, I'm so excited to be here with you. As it stands, I actually got to see several of you. Okay, what's today? Today is Friday. So that was the night before last. You know it's bad when I can't even keep my days straight. What am I talking about? Listen, when I say y'all know I call it AT hell, but I don't want to refer to the people who watch my show who came out in Atlanta. I don't want to call y'all the AT hellions. So we'll just call y'all my fellow ATL family. Y'all came through for your girl. We all got together and we watched the Race War screening up in Sandy Springs at the Tap House, the Springs Tap House, the Springs Cinema and Tap House. We went and we got there to watch one of 4 episodes of Race War, and I got a chance to see so many of you there, and I just want to send a sincere thank you. Thank you for all of those who came out, who stood in the line, who went through security, who who fought through the traffic, right? Okay, so like I live way in East Jerusalem, and we left the house to get there by 6:30. We had to leave at 5 o'clock. So I understand the sacrifice that it took for many of you to make it to that screening and to fight through Atlanta traffic just to come out and support what we had going on. So on behalf of the cast of Race War, even though y'all wasn't even in the film, y'all do know I'm not in Race War. However, it is a film that I wholeheartedly lend my credibility to because one, all of my friends are in it. And I had a little part to play in it in terms of just the Lord has gifted me to just connect people. I'm just like a super broker, right? Like I build these relationships and I meet these people and I have no idea how the Lord is going to use all of these connections for our good and his glory, but it always happens. And so the director of the film, Marcus Wada, I've known Marcus forever. We used to debate doctrine and theology with heretics and false teachers online. And somehow we managed to meet in person unexpectedly. And in the course of that meeting, I demanded, well, no, it's not that. That's not what happened. We were at a TPUSA event. I did not know that Marcus was working for TPUSA. And weeks before that, I had demanded that Vince Everett Ellison come to the Faith Summit here in Gainesville that TPUSA was putting on. And Vince was fighting. Vince ain't want to go. I don't want to go. Why I got to come down there? Like he's always just extra. And I said, listen, I need you to come because Vince, you never know who you're going to meet at these events. And it's important for you to be there. And I was right because at that event, Marcus was there. I introduced Marcus to Vince. Marcus interviews Vince. And then, like, the next month, Marcus is like, hey, I'm going to be in Atlanta and I'm shooting a documentary. Can you get Vince to be in it? I was like, bet, let's do it. So that's how Vince got into the film. And the rest is just history. So I'm so thankful that y'all came out. I hope y'all enjoyed it. If you were interested in watching the other 3 segments to Race War, y'all, it is available on Rumble for free. You can watch episodes 2 through 4 for free on Rumble, and I promise you, you will not be disappointed. So, now that we've got all of those housekeeping things out of the way, we need to take a more somber approach because tonight's live stream, as much as I enjoy cutting a fool, this one's going to be a little bit more serious. And as y'all know, when I cover a topic, I never want to just regurgitate what everybody else is saying. It takes me time to cover and react to things because I want to spend time to figure out, okay, what is the perspective that everyone else is not covering? What are the theological implications to this story and how is it going to help believers be conformed to the image of Christ, or is there something we can learn? What is the gospel-centric focus that makes it necessary for me to cover this anyway? Okay, now we can talk about the shenanigans and the tomfoolery that the pulpit pimps and the pro wokety woke blackity blacks are doing. There's plenty of content to go around for that. And y'all know I love covering that stuff. However, I do want to cover this from a different perspective tonight. What am I talking about? You saw the thumbnail. It has been making its way through the news. Justin Fairfax, former lieutenant governor from the state of Virginia. This is the tragedy that everybody is reacting to, and it's the murder-suicide case of Justin Fairfax and his wife. Now, to prepare for this, there's a whole lot of backstory that I wanted to bring to the forefront because a lot of my audience, we've not been conservative, since Jesus was an infant. Many of us are new to the conservative movement. Some of us came in during the 2020 pandemic. Some of us go back decades. But what I wanted to do was bring my audience up to speed to discuss a perspective of this story that a lot of people are not talking about. And that is, what do we think happened with Justin Fairfax that got him to the point where he felt that he had been pushed to the edge and that he needed to not just take his own life, but to leave his children orphaned and take the life of their mother too? And I'm just going to give y'all a full disclosure. A lot of women are not going to like my take on this story. They're just not. And my goal, I'm not trying to pander to one crowd or the other. but I just have a different perspective on this. And let's get some disclaimers and disqualifiers out the way. I'm not taking up for what Justin Fairfax did. It is heinous and reprehensible for you to take the life of an image bearer. You don't get the right to do that. I don't care how hard life gets, how bad things are, how much or deep down in the depths of despair you've been brought to. But things like this happen not just to unbelievers, but a believer can also be overcome by grief and shame and tragedy and just public and personal humiliation to where they may do something as extreme as take their own life. However, I want to take us back to let's look through aspects of this story that the media is not covering. To be clear, Justin Fairfax is not a Republican. He's not a conservative. Our worldviews don't align. He was a pro-wokety woke, blackety black leftist as they come. But I want to cover this with fairness because there's an aspect of this story that many of us are ignoring, and that takes us back to 2019. What happened in 2019 to Justin Fairfax that may have put him on a trajectory of checking out of life, alcoholism, not being able to actively participate in family functions and just be a fully present father? I make no excuses for a man who takes a cowardly way out. However, I would be remiss if I didn't say, based on the details of everything that has happened leading up to this, I can see how he got here. And perhaps if there was a strong faith component, some godly biblical pastors in his life, perhaps if things would have been different, this may not have been the outcome. But this is what I want to talk about tonight. So first, let's go back and establish what is known in the public record regarding Justin Fairfax. So I did a little research because there's so many unanswered questions regarding what drove him to this point. And I don't, presume to know all of the answers. I don't know what was going through Justin's mind. I don't know his wife. Right now, I want to pray for the children and just report to my audience a perspective that I think many people are not considering. But what is established in the public record that happened to Justin that could have possibly been the catalyst for this? So there were two women. First, what I want to do is I want to introduce what happened in 2019. You had two women who publicly accused Jason Fairfax in February of 2019 of sexually assaulting them during his 2004 Democratic National Convention in Boston. So the first one was Vanessa Tyson. So she claims that back in 2019 during the DNC convention, she is detailed in a public statement that there was an encounter between the two of them that began with a consensual kiss. Okay? Then she goes, it turned into forced oral sexual activity. Okay? Now, I'm a woman. Okay, I've been a woman my whole life, and I understand y'all gonna be like, April, this is reprehensible. We're supposed to believe all women. How dare you try to re-adjudicate what these women claim they went through in the court of public opinion now that the assailant has been an assailant and has killed his wife and left his children orphaned. I get all that. Two things can be true at the same time. I'm just dealing with what's publicly reported. Me, as a woman, knowing how women are, I struggle to understand how something that begins with a consensual kiss at the DNC National Convention morphs into forced oral sex. Y'all do what y'all want to do with that information. Was it at the threat of a gun? Was it if you don't do this? I mean, I how, we're adults here. A consensual kiss becomes forced oral? How? Did you file a police report? Mind you, this allegation came out in 2019. Do you know when this woman said that this happened? She said this happened in 2004. So in 2019, her memory just jogged her memory when this man decided to run for office. But like, you know what? You remember that time at the DNC convention when we was kissing, and then all of a sudden you said I had to go down and do this or else? Yeah, that's essentially what happened. I don't buy it. Not saying it's not true. If it is, I'm sorry that happened. I just struggle to understand the mechanics of that. Just don't work for me. I'm a woman. We're adults. How does someone force you to do that at the DNC convention and you don't file a police report? You don't deal with him. I mean, this is the height of the political parties. This is the apex of their year, the DNC convention. You telling me in 2004? Now, me and Justin are the same age. He was 47. Now, I'm black and slow, but in 2004, what year is this? This is 2026. 2004 was 22 years ago. We the same age. That means Justin was 25. Okay? So they're both very young. If she's at the DNC convention, perhaps she's into politics. It's obvious he had politics in his future. She's saying this happened. Okay, fine. Fairfax ends up responding and says, wait a minute, this encounter was consensual. What this chick talking about, right? He says it was consensual and said that she had not expressed discomfort at the time. That happens a lot. Now, sometimes you get amnesia after you've done something and you just like, oh, I feel dirty. Y'all know how it goes. But anyway, a second woman, Meredith Watson, publicly accused Fairfax days later of the first chick, Vanessa, coming out and says, you know what? I have remembered that time back in 2000, 4 years before you, when I was a student at Duke with Justin. Watson gives an interview to Gayle King and says that, oh yeah, me and Justin were friends, and I just didn't expect this encounter. And, I think this is what she says. She goes, he used knowledge of her prior trauma against her. Fairfax again denies that allegation as well and says, I didn't force myself on this chick. Fine. Now, statistically, I find it unsettling that one man has more than one allegation against him. However, when I look at the details surrounding the facts of when these women decided to come forward, it was a lot of years later after it happened. And this was during the time of the Me Too movement. And hear me clearly, I'm not pretending that every accusation made during the Me Too era was automatically false just because some of them were politically convenient. Not saying that at all. But here's what I am saying. I'm saying that this story exposes something that's deeply broken in our culture. Deeply broken. So these women made these allegations years later. I don't know what jogged their memory. I don't know if they just realized at that moment that Justin had a promising political future and now would be a good time to right this wrong. I don't know. But the biggest problem in this story is that there was no public resolution. They proposed a hearing, and both women said that they would testify. Fairfax is like, good, I want an investigation. But you know what happened? The public never got a real forum. There was no evidence that was ever tested in public. There was no testimony under oath. None of that happened. What does that have to do with today? It has a lot to do with today. But here's what I want to do. I want to show these two clips. I unearthed both of these women sat down with Gayle King and did an interview. Am I saying that these women are not telling the truth? I am saying that their story is suspect to me. Does this absolve Justin of what he did? No, but I am trying to set a precedent of what caused Justin. Justin ain't been right since this happened. The alcoholism, the depression, the mental just strain of his life being ruined. Mind you, I told you he a leftist. I don't like leftists. His politics were trash. It is the principle of the matter here. I am a woman, and I want to talk about this because we are seeing in our culture. There's a culture being created where women are incentivized and even encouraged to ruin a man. Just ruin him, not just in the family court system, but in the court of public opinion. That's what Me Too sparked, and I hated that movement when it came out, and I still hate it and despise it now because we have agency in these situations. If you are a woman and you've been assaulted and victimized, it is incumbent upon you. I understand it's hard, and well, what if they don't believe me? Well, what if we do? What if the evidence is there to support your claims? You should be respected, you should be protected, and you should be believed. But I just don't believe all women just because they say it, especially when it's 1,511 years ago. And you just decide now, well, I just, after much prayer and consideration that we should probably say something now. Mm-mm. That's not how this works. That's not how this works. You can't claim to be a strong Black woman and be all empowered. And then when it's time for you to be strong and empowered, all of a sudden you can't muster up the strength to speak up and advocate for yourself. And I know y'all are like, April, that's real harsh. You've never been a victim of violence. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know. But I'm telling you, just like men lie, women lie too. And now we have a family that has been destroyed and decimated. Possibly, I don't know this for a fact. But I'm going to give y'all a timeline. And you're going to be like, you know what? I mean, this man ain't been right since this situation happened. So we're going to get to the interview, but let me just give you a timeline. Let me give you a timeline of what happened. Both of these women went on Gayle King. It's amazing how they get the courage to do a public interview, but they can't manage to find their way to a police department to file a police report at minimum. Like 2004, Justin is 25 years old. Did you get the abuse on record? At minimum, no one will question your credibility if you say, When that happened, I went to the police. I made sure that the abuse was documented because that happened to me and it was real. Did that happen? You at the DNC convention, it's a whole lot of police and Secret Service and all kinds of law enforcement officials. Did you sound the alarm and be like, hey, homeboy got a little bit too rough? Like I was picking up what he was putting down until he tried to put something else somewhere else that I didn't want it to go. I'm like, if someone's assaulting me, or I'm trying to say this in a very clean, family-friendly way. If a man is trying to assault me with his male appendage and put it in an orifice that's on my face, I got teeth. Somebody got to die that night, and it ain't gonna be me. I can cause way more harm to you than you can harm to me. Are y'all picking up what I'm putting down? I don't see logistically how that is possible, but whatever. All right. First, let's do this. Let's look at the news story. We're going to look at the news story first. It brings y'all up to speed to what happened with the tragedy, and then we'll do a little time machine flashback. Let's do that.
On one hand, this investigation is cut and dry, but it's complicated in some others. Police say there is no doubt the former lieutenant governor is the shooter, but what set him off may take a little bit longer to nail down. Though we're learning tonight that mounting marital issues and a pending divorce were fueling years of turmoil inside the Fairfax family home. He was once the second most powerful statewide politician in Virginia. Tonight, he's at the center of a murder-suicide investigation. Fairfax County Police say former Virginia Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax shot and killed his wife Serena, a well-known dentist, in the basement of the family's Annandale home. Police say after shooting his wife, Justin then ran upstairs to the primary bedroom and shot himself. The couple and their 2 teenage children were in the throes of what police describe as a messy divorce.
It all kind of culminated last night when Justin Fairfax shot several times, and killed his wife, ran to a different part of the home, and then killed himself.
According to court documents obtained by News 4, Serena Fairfax filed for divorce from Justin in 2025. Just last month, the Fairfax County judge granted custody of the children to Serena and ordered Justin to move out of the home by the end of April. In the custody opinion, a judge wrote, quote, "The wife testified that heavy daily alcohol consumption by the father has become the norm." The court documents say Justin Fairfax spiraled into alcoholism and isolated himself from family involvement following the 2019 sexual assault allegations against him while he was in office. Allegations he denied, but still weighed on him tremendously, the judge wrote. During the custody battle, the judge also found, quote, "The evidence also showed that in 2022, the father purchased a handgun with money intended for his children's horseback riding lessons." During the divorce proceedings, Serena Fairfax installed cameras throughout the family's home, according to police. Police say those cameras were rolling last night, just like they were back in January when Justin called police to claim that Serena had assaulted him.
We reviewed those cameras, and we corroborated that the alleged assault never occurred.
Court documents show evidence that Serena Fairfax was actively involved in her children's lives, finding no evidence that Serena ever engaged in inappropriate conduct and maintained great relationships with the 2 kids. The court found, however, that Justin was currently unable to have a healthy relationship with his kids due to his alcohol use and self-isolation within the home. The family's internal struggles were even becoming apparent to neighbors, according to Peter DeMeo.
Just amazed, shocked, and because I knew them.
DeMeo says it was clear Serena and Justin had some marital issues, but he would have never imagined it would end with both parents dead and detectives carrying out backpacks and lacrosse sticks, apparently belonging to the 2 kids.
Listen, let me tell y'all something. When I listen to how the media recounts this, obviously a lot of times these stories are slanted in favor of the woman, but it told us so much. Here's what I will say. They articulated with clarity that 2019 was a breaking point for this man. When these women came out with these allegations, even the judge was like, he never seemed, it weighed very heavy on him. And there's evidence, in my opinion, to support just how much it weighed on him, because typically when a person is deeply depressed and they're unable to gain their footing, they will resort to a vice. So in this instance, it sounded as if it was alcohol. The alcohol was the numbing agent to just get away. I can't deal with this anymore. But not just that. There's some other facts about this that should not be ignored. I did some research because I said, okay, well, what is the media not reporting? The first thing I thought about, okay, this happened in 2019. The divorce filing takes place in 2025. And I also heard that the judge ordered him to pay some money to the wife. There's another detail where they're separated but living under the same roof. I said, okay, I get this. I asked myself, I said, has Justin been able to at least be gainfully employed after these allegations? Like, you go from lieutenant governor to possibly being like a formidable contender in the Virginia governor's race. This happens, and there's never any resolution. There's no hearing. There's no public testimony. It's just these women said it. I'm done, and now I just got to go into the abyss and pick up the pieces of my life. Well, in 2019, Justin is like, what life? I have no life now. So I did some research. I said, was Justin working at the time of this murder-suicide? And it says, based on reports and court documents from April of 2026, Justin Fairfax was not actively working in a significant capacity during the final stages of his divorce, despite having previously established a private law practice after leaving office in 2022. So he leaves office in 2022, and he's like, okay, well, what is my next move? I've been publicly disgraced and embarrassed. I could try to go into public practice. I am a lawyer, but I mean, how am I going to get clients? Everybody's already decided who I am. Am I saying that Justin Fairfax was not a creep? He may have been. He may have been the creep of all creeps. But that's not the point. The point is, we don't know if he really was a creep because it was never proven that what these women just said was true. All they had to do was just say it. All they had to do was just say it. This man recedes from public life after this situation happened. And divorce filings and court records indicate, regarding his employment situation, in the divorce proceedings, the wife calls him a deadbeat. Now, I'm going to read what's reported, but sometimes I hear these words, but I read what's really being said. It says here that, quote, this is the wife speaking, Justin chose not to be a productive member of the family, and that the term deadbeat was accurate as applied to him, noting that he failed to contribute to household expenses. All right, so this basically says Justin ain't really been working. Now, she's a doctor and she's working, but after these allegations, the depression is hitting Justin, and Justin is struggling to pull himself together. I've never been a man. The weight of manhood and the responsibility of protecting and providing for a family, I don't understand the weight of that. However, I'm trying to put myself in Justin's shoes to try to figure out what is going on in this man's mind that he felt that he needed to kill her and then himself, leaving these children orphaned. Some would argue he's a coward. You ain't gonna get no argument from me there. Probably absolutely a coward. It's a cowardly way out. It's a cowardly way out. However, divorce sucks. Divorces can get so ugly, so contentious. When the woman filed for divorce in this case, and we already know that statistically most divorces are filed by women. And I already have very controversial views and opinions on women breaking up their homes during these perimenopausal years. There's a whole lot of stuff going on here. They're in their mid-40s. He's 47. She's probably right behind him, which tells me a lot about, okay, hormonally, I know what's going on with her. This couple is going through a rough patch. They've not recovered from what happened in 2019. He's been unable to be really gainfully employed since leaving office in 2022. The wife files for divorce. She like, you ain't pulling your weight. You ain't bringing no money in here. I'm done with you. I'm ready to get a divorce. Now, I'm not saying that's what she said, but typically that's how situations like this go. It also says lack of financial support. Court documents allege that he stopped paying for family necessities, including his share of the mortgage and children's activities, and did not make financial contributions to support his wife and children. You could take that a couple of ways. He may not have had the money to actually do that because maybe he can't get a job. I don't know. Now, I'm of the opinion that a man has to do whatever he has to do to protect and provide. But when you're married to a physician and you like, well, babe, because of this situation, the law practice ain't really bringing in no money. I mean, I'm doing Uber. It's kind of hard to get a job. My name is kind of known in the public square. I could see the pressure to be like, well, you're not pulling your weight. Well, I'm trying. And I get it. The women who hear me are going to be like, you're making excuses for this sorry, no good dude. And the men who hear me are like, y'all just don't know what this man was going through. Men and women are going to view this whole situation very differently. If you're a man and you've ever had a baby pinned on you and you know it wasn't theirs, you know what I'm talking about. Or you had a chick that she's having buyer's remorse or freak nasty regret, and now all of a sudden she want to claim that you touched her, and you like, now you know darn well that is not what it was. Then you know what I'm talking about. And if you are a woman and you in these perimenopausal years just like me, you know we crazy ain't got good sense. We up the day, down the day, over there tomorrow and falling apart the next day after that. We're struggling to manage our misery. Our patience is short. We have very little tolerance for BS. And apart from the Holy Spirit, a lot of women are doing a lot of crazy things, such as breaking up their home because of a temporary rough patch of hard times, that they don't have the spiritual fortitude to weather through that storm. So now we're talking about two alleged lost people, two liberals, two Democrats, clearly not rooted in a biblical framework of how to view the changes of life. The way this ended is tragic. You have two children who are orphaned now. The mama at this point was like, look, I'm ready to leave him. I make money. I can support myself. We gonna be good without him. Let him wallow in his sorrows and drink himself to death. That may have been the mindset of the wife. I don't know. But I can see how it could be. And I don't think that's the right attitude to have, but I know a lot of women who think like that, especially the ones who out-earn the men in their lives. If you bringing home the bacon and you're like, all right, it's been 1 year, now we going on 2 years, and now it's 3 years, and I'm doing this all by myself. Now, hear me clearly. I'm in the type of marriage that we don't do this. You're not pulling your weight and your share of the bills. I don't know anything about that kind. When you're one flesh, it's when you're down, I'm down. When you're up, we're up. You going through, I'm going through, because we're one flesh. I wish some chick, listen, we wouldn't always say, I wish some chick would come out the woodwork talking about Robert did this, that, and the third. I'm like, okay, well, until you can prove it, I don't know why we're here. I don't even know what we're talking about. You think you're just going to come in and ruin my family's life? And then it's my job as the wife. Hear me clearly. I am sideline quarterbacking this whole situation based on public information and my perspective to how situations typically like this go. If I'm out earning my husband, we good. We're fine. We're going to be okay. I'm pulling you through it. Them chicks was lying, boo. I know you can't get a job. No law firm wants to touch you. And outside of you Uber eating it and door dashing it, options are very limited. You may have to go to Lowe's or Home Depot or the Target to go get you a job. But you know what? It's a job. We're going to be all right. I don't know if she's that kind of wife. I don't know. But that's the kind of wife I am. I'd be like, look, we're just going to figure it out. We'll figure it out. We've been through hard times before. We will get through this. But this man had to deal with accusations that were never substantiated, a whole lot of media amplification, political warfare, just permanent public disgrace. And now he got to deal with a divorce on top of that. Most men would be like, yeah, let me tell you something. Me and Robert have this running joke that if I want to go, I am free to go. But touch them kids and start talking about taking his kids, and I'm gonna be buried in the yard somewhere. Like we talk about it all the time. Don't touch that man's kids. A man's family is everything to him. And I know in this situation, you're like, well, April, you're saying the man's family is everything, but he kind of checked out on his family. You don't know what this man was going through. Apart from Christ, a strong spiritual grounding to pull him up out of a pit. I'm not saying he didn't love his wife or love his children, but what I'm saying is this situation is so messy and so complicated with the Me Too allegations and the family court system stacked up against you. I can see how things can go left very, very quickly. Some more details that the media is not talking about. They're talking about it, but not really. They mentioned the isolation and alcoholism because a judge noted in court records that Fairfax had withdrawn from family life and was struggling with alcohol abuse and mental health issues. I can see how. Financial strain. The couple faced an IRS lien for over $91,000 in unpaid taxes that was resolved in 2021, and they were facing a pending 3-day asset division trial at the time of the incident. He gets served with papers with the division of assets. I done had too many of my male friends going through divorce, and I'm just like, ain't no way. Ain't no way. I'd be like, y'all couldn't work that out. The unreasonable way that I have seen the family court system unfairly target men to how is a man supposed to function and live when it's like they take everything? They get the kids. It's automatically assumed, oh, well, the kid's going with me. They take the kids. They want the house. They want all the equity in the house. They take his drawers on his body if they could. I've seen this happen. What this man did was absolutely wrong and reprehensible. But the backdrop of all of this, I can see how he did it. There is still no excuse for it. And this is why a man apart from Christ, Satan will sift you like wheat. He will rob and steal everything from you. Everything. Let me just give you one note, a piece of information that I located. It says, while it was noted that he returned to private legal practice after his term as lieutenant governor ended in 2022, records show that he was struggling significantly to earn income or contribute financially during the divorce proceedings. He ain't got it. He ain't got it. Now, men have a duty and a responsibility to protect and provide for their own. That is just what the scriptures teach. And the world and the courts and the public, they don't care that you're going through a rough patch. I know, it's real insensitive, ain't it? They don't care. They're just like, suck it up, you a man. You have to put whatever that you're going through, you got to bury that real deep, and you are expected to show up and do what you got to do. And depending on the type of man that he was, he probably was like, yeah, this team too much for me. I ain't gonna be able to do it. He probably saw no way out, incredibly hopeless. He's like, I ain't got nothing to live for. She about to take my kids. She about to take this house. I can't work and get a job, and I'm going to have to be able to pay this, that, and the third, and I'm trying to figure out how to eat. Then I also found out he was told that he had to leave his house at the end of the month. Can you imagine the house that you helped pay for? All of a sudden, the law just come in and be like, you got to go. And you like, wait, say what? Ain't she the one that filed for divorce? Why she can't leave? Why I got to go? Where am I supposed to go? They don't care. Nobody ever cares about that. And that's the part that sucks. And women get to just burn it all down, move on with their life. And the men are left trying to figure it out. But that's what men got to do. So now that you saw the news story, let's go back to hear what these women, we got to go down memory lane. I want to share with y'all these quick 2 clips. One's a minute and 27 seconds long. I know y'all, look, I'm not one of those girls. I'm not that chick. No, it's not. I don't want to diminish legitimate claims of abuse and assault. I think is reprehensible. Anyone that violates another image bearer, especially sexually, deserves the wrath and penalty and curse of God. Hear me clearly. I'm just telling you what I know about the human condition and the depravity of man and the manipulative, conniving way that women can be. And how the law and the judicial system actually enables us to be that way. I think it's horrible. Men are not innocent. Men are expected to provide. But what is the backdrop behind what got Justin Fairfax to this point where he's like, to hell with all of it? Everybody died today. It is so sad and so tragic. There's no perfect parties here. I don't believe that. I just don't. You have couples that go through hard time. I mean, look at Bill and Hillary Clinton. Bill was a sleaze bag. Publicly embarrassed that woman. And I watched an interview. Y'all know I can't stand Hillary Clinton. That orangutan is like next level. Don't like her. I had to give Hillary some respect because I listened to that woman articulate why she did not leave Bill Clinton. I said, they don't make women like this no more. She said, I had to make a decision that was right for me and my family because when it came to Bill, there was nobody more intriguing and interesting and intelligent. And we built a life together. We have children. Now she's like, we have grandchildren now. Like, she was like, all that he built and all that he was, I helped contribute to that. And I'd be darned if Monica Lewinsky was going to be the downfall of destroying my family's legacy. Yeah, Bill was wrong and he was trifling, but that was basically Hillary's perspective. She was like, I'm not telling other women what they should do and what they need to do. I'm telling you what was right for me. That marriage meant something to her. And I think it's amazing that a pagan like a Hillary Clinton can have a way more permanent view and loyalty view of marriage than some Christian women. Hillary was thinking about her grandbabies. I should pull the clip. When I heard her say that, I was like, dang, I hate that she right. She was like, this is not just me. There are other parties to this. And she was like, it hurt. We fought it out. I cried. I couldn't believe he hurt me. But she was like, we got through it. We got through it. All right, let's watch this clip.
We have more now of our interview with Meredith Watson telling the story she revealed after Dr. Vanessa Tyson publicly alleged that Virginia Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax assaulted her. Watson claims that Fairfax met her in 2000 when they were both students at Duke University. She and Tyson say they have never met. Justin Fairfax denies their allegations, adamantly so. Watson says that the Me Too movement gave her hope that her voice would finally be heard. She also believes her past is getting unfair attention.
First of all, when you say the Me Too movement finally gave you hope that your voice would be heard, is the assumption is that you had said something before and nobody was listening? I mean, because this was the first time anybody had heard about this. Now, if I'm wrong, I will retract and correct the record. But if something happened to you in 2000 and you wait till 2019 to say something, I'm sorry, by now, if you ain't healed and reconciled what happened, you need to keep it to yourself. I'm sorry. I know, y'all ain't gonna like this. Y'all gonna be like, this girl is ruthless. She is so insensitive. No, I'm a realist. You're telling me Meredith was the one who said that her and Justin were friends and that she didn't expect the encounter and that she believed that he used knowledge of her prior trauma against her. And he denies the allegation, said, I never forced myself on her. These details are so murky and subjective. You really want us to believe that this man sexually assaulted you in 2000? And you just got the courage in 2019 to say something conveniently when he's thinking about running for governor? I'm sorry, y'all. No, I don't believe it. Of course, the Me Too movement gave you the strength and courage. Of course it did.
You know, the thing you keep hearing from most men, certainly after the Me Too movement, is that a woman can make a charge and a man has no defense. And when we get into your word against his, why are you more credible than he is?
I don't have anything to gain.
The first of two women accused.
Now you ain't got nothing to gain, but you sure got a lot of destruction that lies in your wake. Women don't need to gain anything sometimes just to be vindictive. It was just for the thrill of it all, and I'm not saying that is true for her, but I've seen it happen. Why do women key a man's car? What are you going to gain from that? Just the satisfaction of knowing that I did it? It's not always about the gain. Now, some would say money is a motivator. I would agree. And yes, money makes people do something strange for some change. But the way the question was asked, well, I don't have anything to gain. So, I mean, is your conscience now ameliorated because now you've gone public? What was the point? Other than to cause destruction. That's my opinion. Y'all ain't got to like it, but it's true.
Virginia's Lieutenant Governor Salt says it is her civic duty to come forward. Vanessa Tyson is her name. She says that Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax assaulted her in 2004. Now, he categorically denies these allegations. When Tyson and Meredith Watson first told their stories, Fairfax compared himself to victims of lynching. Tyson responded to his claim in an interview you'll see only on CBS this morning. What do you make of Justin Fairfax comparing himself to a lynching victim?
Never was it two black women lynching black men.
We have more.
No, he's referring to a social lynching. He's not saying that historically black women hung men up from trees. She know that's not what he meant. He is referring to the social grape, the social assault, the social lynching of his reputation and his professional career for you to decide in 2019 that something that happened back at the DNC convention in 2004 all of a sudden just needs to be told. I can see why he compared it to a lynching. It's an utter destruction of this man's life by claims that have never been substantiated. Y'all, to this day, these claims have not been substantiated. I don't think there's a police report. They've never publicly testified under oath, even though they said they would. Republicans claimed that they were going to look into it and do an inquiry and an investigation. That never happened. I can't believe I'm going this hard, taking up for this leftist, is because it ain't got nothing to do with his politics. It's the principle of it all. This could happen to my husband. This could happen to one of my friends. This could happen to anybody. All because she said it happened? Oh, by what standard? By what basis did this actually happen?
Of our interview with Meredith Watson, telling the story she revealed after Dr. Vanessa Tyson publicly alleged that Virginia Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax assaulted her. Watson claims that Fairfax met her in 2000 when they were both students at Duke University. She and Tyson say they have never met. Justin Fairfax denies their allegations.
Did I play this already? I'm sorry, y'all. Ain't that a shame? That's a darn. I really can't remember if I just played this. Did I just play this? Leave me a 1 in the chat if you like, girl, you just played this. Why are you playing it again? Did I just play this clip? Because I have 2 clips, but y'all was somewhere else. I'm so mad about this. I wasn't even focused. Leave a 1 in the chat if I played this clip already. Please, y'all. If I didn't, leave a 2. Oh, I played this? Okay. Thank you. Thank you. No need to work bore y'all. I'm losing words. Yep, it's time to go. All right, I played that one already. All right, now we got to play this one.
What do you make of Justin Fairfax comparing himself to a lynching victim?
Never was it 2 black women lynching. Both my story and Meredith's story.
Let me go back.
I'd want him to resign. Be a racial issue. It should never be a partisan issue. Assault is an epidemic that's taking place around the world, across our country, every day.
What do you want to happen to Justin Fairfax? Why are you coming forward?
I'd want him to resign. I think.
Why? Why? Just because that's what you want? Notice how she didn't say, I want him to pay for his crime. I want him held accountable for his crime. Like, was a crime committed here? Because typically, an answer like, I want him to resign. Why? Okay, so this one is the chick that claims in 2004 at the DNC convention in Boston is where it started with a consensual kiss and then turned into forced oral sex. Was a crime committed? Because I'd be like, yeah, he needs to pay for his crime. But that ain't what she said. She said, I want him to resign. Oh, really? How convenient. Interesting.
The Virginia people, the voters of Virginia, have a right to know, both my story and Meredith's story.
Why do they have a right to know that? Your story? In 2019? I mean, do we have the right to know that on the playground in the 3rd grade that Justin kicked a girl because she said that, he was a fish face? And he kicked her? Like, do we need to know that? Does the American public deserve to know that? Do we need to know that, at the senior prom that he asked 2 girls out and they both showed up and he gave them both corsages? Like, do we need to know that? I mean, I still don't see how a consensual kiss turns into forced fellatio when you have a weapon in your mouth. Are you kidding me? Girl, bye. No.
He said this is an orchestrated smear campaign against him.
Yes.
By you and Meredith Watson.
I've never met Meredith Watson. I don't know what she looks like. I've never spoken with her.
She also says she has never met you and never spoken to you either. And when I talked to her, she really fell apart when she said she feels tremendous guilt that she didn't come forward because it happened to her, she says, in 2000.
she can never blame herself. This wasn't her. It wasn't me. It wasn't either one of us. It was Justin Fairfax.
Wait, hold on. So this is 2004. Justin didn't get married, for the record, until 2006. So this is a single man. And y'all are at the DNC convention. And y'all's encounter, like, he's a rising star in Democrat politics. This consensual kiss is now turned into alleged, he forced me to go down. And you don't bear any responsibility in how you got to this close encounter, how the consensual kiss began, how you got to the point where he like, see, I'm trying not to be crass, y'all. Ooh, I'm not trying to turn this into Nick at Night, but good gracious almighty, ma'am. This is all on him? All on him. Y'all, the tragedy of what happened with Justin is horrible. Those children will probably never be able to recover from what they heard and what they witnessed. But this is the curious case of a man who, I believe, as trash as his politics and worldview was, and all of the retarded policies that he advocated for, when a man got to go through some foolishness like this, like these allegations are so weak and flimsy, but because of the spirit of the age, that Me Too foolishness caused him, there was already a trigger. Alcoholism, it says he was always a heavy drinker, but people are saying that the heavy drinking may have been a direct result of him trying to cope with these darn sexual allegations. Do you guys know that Fairfax, Justin, he later pushed for criminal investigations by prosecutors in Massachusetts and in North Carolina, both states? Public reporting indicates that he was never criminally charged. Reuters and the Associated Press both say that the accusations damaged his career, but no charges were filed. Do you think maybe this is what the drinking came from? I mean, I can see why somebody would start drinking like this. He also sued CBS over the Gayle King interviews. But in 2021, the Fourth Circuit upheld dismissal of the case, finding that he had not plausibly alleged the actual malice that's required for a public official's defamation case. Now, that ruling did not establish that the allegations were true, but it meant that he failed to meet the legal standard for defamation against a media defendant. Believe all women, they say. You got this chubby orangutan right here opening her platform to a chick that claims he made me put it in my mouth, even though they were just consensually kissing moments before. And the allegations alone were enough to ruin his career. Now the man can't be gainfully employed. Now he's going through a voice. The wife is like, look, I stood by you and all, but I need you to be pulling your weight around this house. I need you to put the bottle down and pull yourself together and go out and go on and get a job. Why did they come forward so late? I'm going to let her finish and then I'll talk about that part.
One thing I will say is that it's hard. I can't even begin to tell you how hard it is to come forward, especially against someone powerful. And when she came forward, she didn't want me to feel alone. And that meant the world to me. Because it's just hard.
You was alone from 2024 up until now. And so was she. Y'all, these women were not, these women moved on with their lives and one was a PhD professor. The other one, I mean, they just living their lives. And she's sitting up here talking about, she just wanted me to know that I wasn't alone. Do women bear any responsibility at all, ever, for anything that they do? Like the part that they play? I'm not saying it's acceptable for a man to be a sleazeball, but when you have two consenting adults who agree at a convention to get down with the get down, and all of a sudden, well, I mean, I consented to the kiss, but not that part, but you did it. How is that assault? Am I just old school and I just don't understand the definition of assault? Now, you could say you didn't enjoy it, but to say that you were assaulted? Are you kidding me? And the other chick's story is even thinner and more flimsier than that. They were in college. And she didn't even really give the details of what happened outside of he used my sexual past against me. And he's like, I didn't force myself on this chick. It is almost like these women will take any scenario and any situation that after the fact that it either didn't go their way or they were not pleased with the outcome or they really just didn't mean to do it, that becomes the necessary conditions for it to be considered assault. I was violated. My feelings were violated, so therefore what happened physically was a form of violation. I think I've been assaulted. It's almost like two people, a man and a woman, are having consensual sex, and then the man decides that, this is really not good, and he just abruptly ends it. Now all of a sudden you're like, my feelings were hurt. My ego was bruised. I think I've been assaulted. What? I mean, is that where we are today? Listen, I ain't even got to the divorce part. Yet. I'm trying to be real careful in how I cover this, but this angers me because divorce is hard enough. But when I look at the circumstances that happened leading up to the divorce that caused so much turmoil and breakdown in their marriage, the things that led to the drinking, and then if you have a wife that she's just not built to just go through these challenges with you, but she'd rather just dissolve the marriage, take the kids, and go live her best life. Those are circumstances that can lead a man to spiral out of control and just end it all. I can see it. I'm not saying it was the acceptable choice. Absolutely not. You can get another chick. And I'm not even advocating for that. The last thing he needed to be thinking about was a woman. But I can see how the decimation of it all started here and then pile on an impending divorce and financial obligations and IRS issues, and she taking the kids. You like, you know what? I'm done. This is about all I can handle. It is not for the grace of God. I know a lot of Christian men that would fold under this kind of pressure, but the grace of God and them having a family structure and a support system in place, and them saying, you know what? Forget you. I will live for my kids. I will live for my kids. That's enough to give me something to cling to. Sometimes that's enough for them to pick up the pieces of their life and be like, I got to start all over. I know men who were this close to retirement, whose wife, in the middle of her perimenopausal syndrome, decided, you know what, I'm not happy. And not only am I going to file for divorce, but I need half of that pension That 401k, yeah, I'm gonna need half of that. I need the house. I need the kids because they my kids. I don't really care about you and how you gonna figure it out and take care of yourself. I'm just telling you what I need. I've seen that happen. And they got to go back into the workforce like this close to retirement, and they got to get it out the mud. And it's their faith in God that grounds them to keep them from killing themselves or killing her. I'm not saying that's what happened in this case. I'm talking about people I know. I don't know these people, but the people I know, so many stories. I've even known one woman said, I'm following the leading of the Lord. And in the middle of the night, I'm going to leave my husband and take his kids. And don't tell nobody where I'm going. That's happened. I actually know someone that happened to. Woke up like everybody just gone. Just poof. Just disappeared. Have mercy. I need biblically sound pastors to be on high alert for the couples in your congregation that are between the ages of 42 and like 55. And the reason why I say 42 is because what we're noticing, and I think it has a lot to do with our food supply, women are entering into perimenopause earlier than normal. So around 42 is when things start getting a little weird. We think, oh, wow, my metabolism just slowing down. Like my face is kind of getting a little puffy. And, we start gaining a little weight in the midsection. And then the insomnia starts, and then the hot flashes and the night sweats, and stuff just goes downhill really quickly. And I'm not making light of it, but when I say that, pastors need to be paying attention to the couples in their congregation when the women are between the ages of 42 and 55. They need some sort of special sanctification discipleship classes, because these are the years, these are some very volatile years when women, there's a lot of selfishness, there's a lot of hormonal and physical things that are happening to us that we don't understand. And when I say we literally are unable to manage our misery, it's because we can't. Apart from the Holy Spirit, I'd be a basket case right now. You're trying to figure out how to manage this misery because things are happening to you. And you get consumed with your own thoughts that the accuser of the brethren brings into your mind. And the next thing you know, you really believe, you know what? I could just leave. I could just leave and we'll just start over and everything's going to be okay. That is a lie. It is a lie. Your family is your family. I know it gets hard and things get rough and he's not perfect. And all of a sudden, everything that never got on your nerves before is getting on your nerves now. He may have lost his job. He may be struggling to get back in the workforce, and you might be carrying the load for a little bit. All kinds of things could be happening. But filing for divorce is not always the answer. And I'm not saying in this Justin Fairfax case that his drinking wasn't a problem and she was like, I'm frustrated and I'm tired because he can't seem to get it together. But our culture is struggling with forbearance, forgiveness. I mean, it's almost like when I think of the grace of God and how he grabs us out the pit, and how even in our sinfulness, when we don't deserve it, Christ died for the ungodly. And he rescued us out of a pit, extending mercy and grace that we don't deserve because we're so guilty. And I see couples whose grace and mercy and forbearance, it's got like these time limits on it. And I mean short ones too. It makes me grateful, but it also makes me sad. Because here you have this liberal, left-leaning politician whose gun advocacy, like gun law advocacy, legislation was horrible, but yet he get him a gun in 2022. You know what I'm saying? It's the irony of a lot of this, how he advocated, for all of that Me Too stuff, and it consumed and ended up probably being the very thing that put him in a position to take his own life. You have Abigail Spanberger, the governor of Virginia, that is signing legislation into law right now that is going to make it so much more easier for women to just accuse a man of abuse, and it completely strips his rights of gun ownership. So it's going to extend beyond just married couples. So let's say that you just got a boyfriend. Y'all boyfriend and girlfriend, y'all shacking, doing what sinners do. And y'all get into a little altercation, and you happen to own a firearm. The mere accusation of that, the way this new law is going to work, they're going to take your gun from you. They're going to take your gun from you. Now, I think that's wrong. I do. The Second Amendment is the very thing that prevents, or at least protects, the American citizen, not just against government tyranny, but it's your first line of defense, because you can't depend on the government to protect you. I mean, you know how long it would take the police to show up here if something had to pop off? I got any room I could go into, and the heat is on, okay? I'm just saying. But I see how these liberal policies and the liberal worldview creates the necessary conditions for this whole situation to happen. The family court system, the divorce laws, the Me Too movement, and the sexual allegations, like, it's just a lot. And so I guess my biggest takeaway from this is, I think this is where it started. The spiral, on top of the divorce filing, on top of the fact that the judge is like, you need to be out of here and find another place to live by the end of the month. And Justin's like, y'all know I ain't got no money. I don't have any money. Where am I going to go? What am I going to do? I can't find gainful, meaningful employment. I have no hope in Christ or faith to cling to. I'm about to kill myself and her because I can't catch a break. I'm not saying it's right. It is wholly unacceptable. He is going to pay, and God is going to judge him for this. But culturally, something is wrong when a country can just get accusations and a lot of media coverage and just nothing really solid and substantial. And it can end up and lead to this. Yes, Justin needed to own up and bear the responsibility of the fact that he got with two jump offs that just decided a long time later to upend and ruin his political career. And he did not have the mental fortitude and the strength to pick up the pieces of his life and try to live for his family and get through this. The drinking probably became too much. The wife probably got tired of dealing with it, and she wanted to jump ship and just leave, take the kids, and move on with her life. And he was just like, not gonna happen on my watch. If I got to go, you got to go. The details, more information is still coming out. I don't know all the facts. I just think it's important to analyze what led up to this. Let's finish out this clip and then we're going to wrap the whole thing up.
Alone.
Meredith Watson came forward shortly after Vanessa Tyson made her accusations in February. She told us that she's very sorry for not reporting her allegation that Fairfax her nearly 20 years ago. Why do you feel guilty?
It happened to her after it happened to me.
We don't even know what happened to you.
And had I had the strength or the courage to say something in 2000, maybe it never would have happened to her.
Fairfax maintains that both women are making false accusations. In a statement to CBS News, the lieutenant governor said this to us: "I am able to hear the pain they have expressed, a pain I hope they are able to resolve and heal. However, because I never assaulted either Dr. Tyson or Ms. Watson, I know that my actions cannot be the source of that pain." Now, you can find the lieutenant governor's full statement on our website, that's cbsthismorning.com. We are hoping that Lieutenant Governor Fairfax will speak to us at some point. You will see more of our interview with Meredith Watson tomorrow, including why she's asking for a public hearing as opposed to an investigation, and that she is ready to testify under oath.
She don't want an investigation. She just wanted a public hearing. Why? Why? I would have liked to know that. A public hearing is nothing more than you get the opportunity to say what you want to say. An investigation is vastly different. She just want a public hearing, but no investigation. Justin's like, no, let's do an investigation. We can do the public hearing, but what about the investigation? Why can't we have that? So the clean timeline, 2000, according to Meredith Watson, she says Fairfax raped her. That's what she's saying. While they were students at Duke. I'm not saying it happened. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm saying the details were really sketchy. That's what I am saying. Then, 2004, Vanessa Tyson claimed Fairfax sexually assaulted her. Details of that is really strange considering they're sharing a consensual kiss, and then all of a sudden she's saying, he forced me to give oral, and I don't even know the logistics of how that works. But that's what she said. Then, after that, he denies the assault. He's saying both of these encounters were consensual. What I don't understand is, why do these women conveniently wait for these men to run for office to all of a sudden their memory is so sharp? Why? For example, y'all remember the Robert Morris case? Cindy Clemenshire said something and kept saying something, and police reports were filed, and it sucked that nobody believed her. And that was in an ecclesiastical environment. They knew about those allegations and actively suppressed it. No matter how many people she told, no matter how many people came forward and corroborated her story. And then even when Robert Morris publicly admitted that he had kind of done some things that that is different. Women who go through situations like this, I am of the opinion that you can't say you want justice and then remain silent. We have to have a testimony. You have to tell someone. At minimum, get the abuse on record. But why is it that you get to, someone could decide 15, 20 years from now to just be like, that time we was at the club, Robert did this to me. And depending on where Robert is in his life at that time, just can ruin. A whole family is shattered all because she said something happened. It doesn't have to be corroborated, verified, or proven. She could just say it and claim me too. That is wrong. I am not trying to lack empathy for legitimate victims. I just gave you an example of a legitimate victim whose story needed to be told, who I covered. And I talked about how this was hidden and suppressed, and they covered for that sleazeball because he was in ministry and he was charismatic. And she is just now getting justice, and he paid for his crimes. No one here ever says a crime was committed. She just said it. Now we have 2 teenagers who are orphaned. They have no parents now. And contrary to what y'all might think, well, why can't the man just go back to court and say that, the alimony and this needs to be adjusted? You must have not been to family court lately. If he's not making any money and he can't even afford representation, he's going 9 times out of 10. I mean, he's a lawyer. He probably could have represented himself. I don't do family law. That wasn't my area of expertise. Trust me, I ain't making excuses for this guy. What he did was wrong. I'm trying to help people see that I can see what brought him to this point and how, apart from faith in God and a biblical worldview to ground you, Satan will sift you like wheat. He will take the very thing that may have been used to elevate you to prominence and use it to bring you down low. I mean, I hate that this story happened, but this is my perspective. And I understand if you don't like it, you're free to disagree. But it's hard. It's hard to fight against the facts that came out with his accusers or lack thereof, and then to see his life spiral out of control and the mental health challenge that was there. His wife is now, or soon to be ex-wife. They're both now deceased. This was messy and it was complicated, and I don't believe it is as cut and dry as we would like for it to be. I just don't. So, anyway, that's pretty much all I have to say about that. I did not enjoy covering this. It made me very, very sad for the children. The signs that there was trouble in this marriage have been there for a while. I'm not his wife, but I understand, especially in these middle-aged years, all couples go through a rough patch. And in the confines of a marriage and in a covenant, there are gonna be times where you're gonna have to take a lot of hits, and it's gonna have to be a whole lot of forgiveness and grace and forbearance. Like, I have rough days some days, and I'm sure I'm not the most pleasant person to be around. And my family has to extend a lot of grace and forbearance to me. And I know there's going to come a time where I'm going to have to extend that same level of grace and forbearance and forgiveness to them. Maybe his wife's level of forbearance was at the level where she couldn't deal anymore and she chose. Maybe she just didn't have the level of tolerance that perhaps another woman might have been able to endure. But there are details of this case and facts surrounding this divorce that leads me to believe that we were watching a man who didn't have the spiritual tools in his toolbox to cope with what happened to him. And at the end of the day, the threat of losing everything, meaning I'm losing my children, my family, and everything that I worked for, I don't see what is worth, what are we preserving? I might as well just kill myself. And that's sad, but that happens. And I wish it did not happen. But I would like stories like this to at least broach a conversation around modifications to our family court system and modifications to women who can make accusations like this without corroborating evidence or proof or a paper trail of, or at least documenting what happened to them when it happened. There should be a statute of limitations against foolishness like this. Because at some point, I'm like, well, you're gonna have to find a way to cope with your trauma that you say happened. Because at this point, I don't know what you want the public to do. You just want the public to be like, oh wow, 20 years ago you were a bad guy, and now we're gonna adjudicate that matter now when we don't even know if it actually happened the way you said it happened, because it's he said, she said. Even Gayle King was like, I mean, why should we believe you and not him? He says it was consensual. You say, well, part of it was consensual, but not the rest. Like, what? No. No. Mm-mm. Let me get to these super chats. Shout out to Red Cobblestone Road. Thank you so much for supporting the live stream tonight. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you for your super chat and for just stopping by and being a part of the Unshakable live stream tonight. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you. We also have, oh, this is cute. I've never seen a super chat look like this before. This is interesting. Shout out to Waygu Solutions. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Thumbs back up to you as well. Then we got my girl, Sister Marsha Massey. She said, sadly, men often take their frustrations out on the ones closest to them. As a wife for 24 years, living with a husband suffering from PTSD, I know. You know what? And I think, Sister Marsha, you can speak to how much grace and forbearance it takes to have a spouse that is suffering from PTSD, and how these marriage vows don't really give us a provision to say for better or worse unless the PTSD get too bad, right? Like, I understand. Y'all, I hope y'all know that marriage is the union of two broken, sinful people trying to live out the picture of Christ's love for his church and his bride's submission to his lordship. And this side of heaven, although it is a beautiful picture and mirror of Christ's relationship to the church, it is still done in our sinful flesh. Your spouse could get sick, get into a very bad accident, go through something traumatic where they're suffering from PTSD, heck, go through menopause. I mean, there's so many, infidelity. There are so many situations that happen within the confines of a marriage that are going to require grace, mercy, forbearance, forgiveness, long suffering, self-control. It's a lot. But in our culture today, it's almost as if it's like, well, I mean, None of those things matter because they're like, well, everybody has a breaking point. I get it. Sometimes separating is healthy. I don't know what made them think that they could live under the same roof during that separation, but it could have been probably because he had nowhere to go. We don't know. We don't know. I've seen situations where the police is like, well, you got to go now. We don't care that you don't have anywhere to go. Maybe she did extend some grace and forbearance to say, all right, I'll give it to the end of the month, but then you got to leave. But I don't care what Robert and I are going through. That is the father of my kids. I'm not about to see that man homeless on the street. This house is big enough that stay over there. I'm mad at you right now. I don't want to see you. Don't look at me. But I'm not putting you out on the street. I don't care what you did. I don't care. I can't do that. That is my children's father. We procreated and made some humans. I'm still in awe that even happened. Like, I look at my kids, I be like, we made them. Those are like people. Like, they used to be little people, but now they big people. And they're like bigger than me. And I see my face in them, and I see Robert's face in them, and I'm like, whatever it is, we got to work it out. And I mean, this is probably an inappropriate statement to make at this point, but we always say, it ain't but one way out of this marriage. Somebody got to die. That's what we say. I've been telling him that since, I don't know, it'll be 19 years in December. We've just always said it. There's only one way out. Somebody got to die, which means it is built in and baked in the provisions for it. There's grace here for so many things. It's not a license for anyone to do anything, but there's grace here. That's me. I don't know why everybody else ain't built like that. But I got grandchildren that have not even been born yet. That if I burn it all down, what about my grandbabies? What they gonna say about April? Ooh, that sounds so weird saying that. I can't burn it all down. We get to figure it out. We just got to figure it out. And I understand some of y'all ain't built for that. I get that. I'm saying for me, it ain't just me. There's a whole family lineage that depends upon us figuring it out. And that could mean a myriad of things. That could mean, oh, this rough patch is too rough. I can't look at you right now. Okay. Well, we in it. We got to figure it out. But burning it all down, it's just not an option for me. So, few announcements, you guys. I don't know if you guys saw the banner that I have pulled up. I'm working on a new film. Yes, it's called Slavery is a Choice. Yes, it is designed to be provocative and make you clutch your pearls and make you wonder if I've lost my mind. Well, I haven't lost my mind, but I am working on this film. This film is written and directed by Vince Everett Ellison. I'm in the documentary, and what we want to do is to help people understand slavery from a different perspective. A perspective that unfortunately you don't hear a lot about lately because they want you to believe that your subjugation and your oppression is completely outside of your control and there's nothing you can ever do about it. And what we want to do is we want to challenge that narrative and present some very real credible evidence to the contrary. And we are asking for you guys to help us finish this film. And I don't know in the beginning if you saw the trailer for the film, but I do want to share something very special with you right now. So take a look at this. I'm April Chapman.
And I'm Vince Everett Ellison. There's a victim narrative here in the United States of America that says you have no control over your lives, no control over your agency. And they're basically saying that you're an animal, that you're a slave. I don't believe that. I don't think it's ever been the case. As an heir of Jesus Christ and a child of God, I cannot be oppressed. I cannot be a victim. I do not think I am, nor do I think that any American ever has been, or any person. Even when it comes to slavery, I believe, and I think they hold true, that slavery was a choice. You know how I know? Because people are choosing to be slaves now. So I'm making a documentary to debunk the myth that any human being or any American is held under bondage without their permission, even if they have to kill or give their lives to be free. Freedom is a choice, and slavery is a choice also.
We're asking you to partner with us. We are here. We have begun filming Slavery is a Choice, and it's an incredible documentary that outlines Vince's argument to prove to the world that slavery is absolutely a choice. I've partnered with him in the executive producer position, and we are appealing to our audience, you guys, those who watch us faithfully every single week, to help us bring this film to market. We've begun a crowdfunding campaign, and we're going to link the opportunity in the description below for you to partner with us and give any amount to help us bring this project to market. Slavery is absolutely a choice, and we know that slavery is a choice because we're choosing it today with many of the decisions that we continue to make to our own detriment. So we're hoping that you guys will partner with us, and we want to bring this film to market in summer of 2026. So click the link down below, and I'm April Chapman.
And I'm Bishop Everett Ellison. Freedom is a choice, but in order to be free, you must be brave. In order to not be a slave, you must believe in Jesus Christ. So believe in freedom, believe in courage, be courageous, assist us in this project, and let's set and make other people free by being true blue Americans, true blue patriots, true blue Christians, believing in ourselves and believing in the future ahead. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you guys. I hope that you guys are able to support this film. We bootstrapped and invested so much of our own personal funds because we really believed in this project, and to just get us over the hump so that we can have this project out by summer of this summer 2026. We decided to start a crowdfunding campaign to get us over the finish line. We're so grateful for so many of you who have willingly and generously given to support this film. We have been already overwhelmed by the donations that have come in, and we're just so grateful that we have found other freedom-loving patriots who believe in the work that both Vince and I do on our respective platforms, and you just want to see this film come to life. So I've linked our Give Butter campaign down in the comments. I think I just left the comment there. You can also scan this QR code. Where did the QR code go? Okay, I don't know where it went. Huh? What did I do? Oh, I know what happened. Here we go. You can scan this QR code right here, and it'll take you. You can either do a screenshot of it or whatever. It'll take you straight to our campaign page, and we have some goodies that we're offering to our donors and supporters who helped bring the film to market. So Vince right now is traveling with the Race War Tour, the other documentary that he's in. And when he gets off the road and things slow down a little bit, he and I are going to do some Q&As, particularly for those who've already given to the campaign, just to answer any questions that you might have, to get his thought process behind the film, how he was able to convince me of this worldview, because I wasn't always on this side. In fact, the whole concept of slavery being a choice was a huge source of contention between us. I work for Vince. He's a client. He's my friend. He is family to us now. But I was like, bro, I don't understand. What do you mean when you say this? Why would you say this? How do you prove and defend this? And so the documentary actually starts out with a huge portion of it is me just pushing his feet to the fire to have him explain and defend such a provocative and inflammatory statement such as slavery is a choice. So anyway, I'm so grateful for those of you who've already given, and we are well on our way. I hope we meet our goal. By God's grace, we will. And other than that, I got a few super chats that I want to get to that I missed. My bad. I saw them come in. I'm with you, Lamont. I am. It is absolutely rough out here sometimes. A marriage is the most sanctifying institution known to man, and I believe God is honored. And it's such a beautiful picture of sacrifice and selflessness. And you're not gonna get, if you think you're gonna get all your needs met and the marriage exists for you to just be happy, I need you to grow up, because that's just not how it works. They're just seasons. There are seasons of happy and seasons of joy, and then there's seasons of I'm going through, he's going through, we are going through. There are seasons of death of a family member, death of, you got to bury parents, you might have to bury a child, you may experience a miscarriage together, job loss together, the loss of a business. I mean, there's so many just lives, right? But marriage is supposed to be that one institution. It's like out you clinging to Christ, but clinging to your spouse and to your family. It's like kind of like in The Godfather when the mama was like, "What you mean you lose your family? You can't like it was unthinkable for her to think that you could lose your family." And Michael's like, "Mama, times have changed." That's deep. I mean, that is really deep. The way that we've changed the way that we view family and the permanence of that. So many of us have bought the lie. I know. We just have. We have. But thank you, Lamont. So good to see you. Breakthrough Solutions hit us back again with the 999. Thank you so much for your support. I'm so grateful for that. He or she did not leave a comment, just the super chat. So thank you. We got Miss Crimson with your beautiful self. She said, "Greetings and good evening, sister. You are so right." Thank you so much, sweetheart, for your super chat. I don't know what I was right about. I know I say a lot of things a lot of people don't like, but I'm just grateful when I meet so many of y'all in public that y'all are so kind and gracious to me. I was in TJ Maxx over the weekend, and I saw a mother and her daughter who watched me, and I thought it was so cool. They were just like, well, the daughter was kind of embarrassed because the mother came up to me and she was like, "Mom," and I was like, "No, it's fine. Like, hey, how you doing?" Listen, I'd rather y'all come up to me and tell me that you enjoy what I'm doing and I'm doing a good job than you come up to me and you want to fight, okay? Because that's not going to go well for you. So don't do that, okay? I packs heat. But I am just grateful that when I am out in public and I see so many of you, I am so well received, and it is incredibly humbling. And it pushes me to do better because I now know that I'm like, okay, I got to give people good content, which means I got to work a little harder to make sure that I'm giving them the value that they deserve. So this platform is nothing, obviously, without God and his grace and him empower me to do it. But without y'all, there is no platform. Because if y'all don't watch, then it just ceases to exist. So I'm going to wrap it up. It's almost 11 o'clock. It is Friday. I need to eat dinner. But thank you guys. I love you with the love of the Lord. If you are in Columbus, Ohio, please come out to the Race War screening. I will not be there, but Vince Everett Ellison will be there. Marcus Wada will be there. I think Stephen Davis will be there, and Virgil Walker and some other people. I don't know. But I want you to see the film, and I want you to engage with them. They had an amazing Q&A, a really, really good Q&A. And they're traveling all over the country to bring this film to you guys. It's one of the rare films where you will see leftists engage, because normally BLM folks and Marxists and leftists don't engage with conservatives. You're gonna see a nice, healthy back and forth exchange, and it's gonna help strengthen your argumentation when you engage with them as well. But it definitely flies in the face of the victim narrative. So until next time, you guys, stand firm, stay bold, and above all else, stay unshakable. I don't think we have an outro. I don't think. So what we're going to do is we're going to go out with the trailer. Grace and peace, you guys.
Slavery is a choice. Now, some people tell you that freedom is a choice. Well, if freedom is a choice, how can slavery not be one? There are people in America right now who want you to believe that you have no choice when it comes to slavery. They want you to look at your past, and they want you to believe that your ancestors had no choice, therefore you have no choice. And if slavery was not a choice, how did 200,000 black people decide to take their freedom from their slave masters by running away or by killing them? Patrick Henry said, "Give me liberty or give me death." They understood the concepts of liberty. They understood the concepts of freedom. And they understood that sometimes, as Thomas Jefferson said, the tree of liberty must be irrigated with the blood of tyrants and patriots. It is his natural manure. In order to be free, you must be willing to shed blood. If a robber is going to come into a home, he first must bind the strong man. But if he doesn't bind the strong man will wait and will not allow his house to be shaken up. We must understand this, that freedom is not something that someone gives you. It's something that you accept. And you tell the man who decides to try to take your freedom that this is a death fight. They want you to believe that someone has the power to make you submit to slavery. And submitting to slavery is a sin. One or two things are going to happen here. One thing is you're not going to leave with a slave. One of us is going to die. Slavery is a choice.